Today, we are going to do the best we can.
we are going to do the best we can.
And when we are tired,
And when we are tired,
we will take a pause.
we will take a pause.
We will self reflect.
We will self-reflect.
And if we need a moment to breathe
And if we need a moment to breathe
or two,
or two,
we're going to do it,
we're going to do it.
regardless of who's around us
Regardless of who's around us
or where we are.
or where we are.
And then I take a deep breath in and I release.
Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper, and I tell stories from Africa and the African diaspora. Today, I am with an amazing woman. She is Coach Kamshuka, originally from Uganda and a fellow Canadian, and she's here in Ghana. And she's making an impact in so many different ways. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with her. It is long overdue. We met each other in Canada, and she's been coming to Ghana over the last, like I say, year and a half to 2 years. And it's been a really great thing to see her here in Ghana and, carving her own lane right here in this country. So I'm looking forward to this conversation and I hope you enjoy it as much as I am going to. Coach Kamshuka, I am so excited that you were able to join me today on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know this wasn't planned.
No,
I have to say, this was not planned. Like, when you're doing content, when you're doing a show, you're filming, sometimes you're trying to do multiple interviews in a day. Sometimes people can't make it. You never know what can happen. And it happened to be that she was free this afternoon and we connected and she's here. So we're having this chat. It is really, I'm really excited.
and I love speaking to you. So this is just, I couldn't say no. Husky, yes, let's do this.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the things that people do not know is, some of you know who she is and some of you don't. And you may not know that she is an award-winning entrepreneur. Yes.
Yeah.
And an author of 2 books.
3.
Was it 3? Oh, I think 2. Oh, boy, yeah. So we're going to talk about that today. Couple of things that you do, talk about your books, the 2 previous, and then your latest one that is coming up. Yeah. So first of all, introduce yourself. I know I said you're an award-winning entrepreneur, but share a little bit more about what you do.
No, that's perfect. Perfect way to start. I am Kamshuka, born in Uganda during the Civil War and survived the Civil War in many different things. I reside in Toronto, but hopefully not for too long because I really love it here. And I am an award-winning entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for 21 years.
Wow.
I'm an award-winning photographer and I'm an award-winning leader, and I take great pride in all 3. It's been 21 years that I've been an entrepreneur, almost a serial entrepreneur, but it's funny how purpose finds you when you're doing the things you love. So yes, so in a nutshell, that is me. I'm also an author and a wellness coach and a wellness influencer.
You're doing so much.
I do a lot.
Tell us the names of your books so people want to buy them.
So my first book, Becoming a Warrior, published in 2016. My second book was a co-written piece with some beautiful sisters in Atlanta, published in 2019. Yes, I'm trying to get it right. And my latest book is Awaken, Highness, which was just published and launching here in Ghana.
And that's so cool that you're doing your launch in Ghana. What made you decide to do the launch here?
Everything is very purposeful for me. I'm very intentional with where I place my foot and sow seeds. And I think that when you are purposeful from the very beginning, um, it it's in sync. It's in sync with destiny. And so not only was the cover of the book shot here in Ghana at the beach, which I absolutely love.
I love the picture.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just, I wanted to share the strength of a woman while still being soft. So you see the collision of both. And Ghana, because not only do I love Ghana, but I really, really, I'm here for the connections. I'm here for the way it makes my soul feel. I'm already an African-born person. So Africa is this is my place.
Yeah.
But Ghana does something different. And I feel like because of how deep this book is and what I really needed to say, the great feeling of heritage and royalty.
Now, being a woman who is actually a daughter of the soil of Africa and talking about how much you love Ghana, do you think your Uganda brothers and sisters are gonna say something like, "Wait, what about us over here?"
They have already said something. They have definitely already vocalized that, and it's okay
Mhm.
because being a daughter of the soil doesn't just bring me to just that one place. And I've given years upon years to Uganda. I've been there, I've served there, and I'm not done there. And there's so many parts in Africa, and sometimes I feel like it's like that in Uganda, where we're behind on how we think of mental well-being. And so it's not that I don't have the patience to wait on them, and I have, right? When something is such a struggle, it's almost it makes you ask yourself, does it does it have to be this much of a struggle?
Right.
So when you experience a smooth transaction, like it's just smooth,
Mhm.
that's something I can
Yeah.
not choose.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you've maintained your youthfulness, and not only in what you look like, but in your spirit and all the things that you do. What do you think it is that helps you maintain that? Because you talked a lot about mental health and well-being. Is there something that you're doing that helps you to keep going?
Hmm. I truly believe that when you are healing from your past, your traumas, your childhood traumas, and also just understanding your walk as an adult. When you understand, maybe I can say no to this. I don't have to go. I don't have to put myself through something I don't need to put myself through. It's learning to understand my body, hear my body, and also not force myself to do something because everybody's doing it. That saves me a lot, right? Because that's saving me from this feeling of I'm here, but I don't want to be here. And it's important to understand that when you put yourself on a journey to heal and to be well, it does something for your skin, it does something for your soul. Now, other than that, I do love avocados.
So do I.
So I put it everywhere.
Oh, you spread
I
avocado
do.
over. Oh,
I love avocados. That's something I learned when I was pregnant. I just like rub it on my belly. I love avocados. So you can give it to me in any which way and I'll take it.
that's a good tip.
Yeah. So it's avocados. And also, I love to be around young people. I have two older young people. They make me laugh. So for me to have conversation with them means that I have to learn what they love. I have to understand the culture of today because it's changed.
That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm very much engrossed in culture when it comes to our youth, our young people. They keep me up. We're able to have those conversations and I forget sometimes.
That's good. That's good. So you talk a lot about healing, and I'm thinking about the fact that you talked about being a survivor of the civil war in Uganda. How did you and your family manage to leave Uganda to end up in Canada?
It was a journey, like a really long journey. I'll give you the short version. The longer version can be found in Becoming Warrior. Um,
And they can find it on Amazon.
Absolutely, Amazon online. So
I'll put the link in the description
yeah,
for those so that people can look for it.
yeah, perfect. So I was born in Uganda and born to my father Ugandan and my mother's Anglo Indian. So we are back and forth a lot. And during that time was the Civil War, and it was 1984. I'm dating myself. 1984, and we being Ugandan, you couldn't leave the country, so we were there. My father, myself, and my brother, and it was some intense days of curfews and um, bombings and gunfire. Yeah, just some intense days of just everything happening. And, I write about being locked up in a small room, which is the washroom, the restroom. But I guess if you want to think of like your walk-in closet,
Yeah.
that size, and having to be there and be quiet while the soldiers came through our city, our streets, and just really just senseless killing. We stayed in that room for 3 days, 3 nights. We couldn't say anything as kids, like, it's not easy, but I knew what was happening. And I asked my father, are we going to die? Seemed like that's what was happening. We could hear women and children screaming, gunfire, from morning to night. My dad told me, just close your eyes. Close your eyes. He asked me to put my head on his lap. He said, close your eyes and just think of yourself when you're older. And I did. I closed my eyes and I imagined me older. I thought of a world that was peaceful and full of love. And I saw myself older. And, it didn't change what I heard around me, but it's the moment that I had the opportunity to visualize a future past dying. And in that moment, that's all I could think of, like, as I'm older, what I'm doing. And after those days and nights were over, we came out of that room, and outside was dusty, rich soil risen to the sky, and just dead bodies everywhere. Neighbors, it was horrible. And we made our way to my father's village. We stayed there till my uncle was able to get us on a plane. And we were going to head to meet my mother, who was not with us. And we had heard she was in India somewhere. And I'm a child, so I'm hearing what the adults are saying.
Right.
I don't know the plan. And we get to India, and she's not there. And she was sold. She was trafficked to some sheikhs in the Middle East. And so we get to India, and I can see the devastation on my father's face. And I can see the adults around we looked hopeless. And for 3 years, I lived in India till we figure out where my mom was. And then one day, my father did hear from my mom. She had escaped to a Catholic church where she found refuge, and the priest was going to help us get out. In the 3 years, I'd experienced verbal abuse. I had been sexually abused. I'd been just everything that could happen to a little girl that's not protected. And my job was to protect my brother. So much had happened in those 3 years. But after those 3 years, we reunited in the Middle East, Bahrain, which is a very tiny island in the Middle East. And seeing my mom for the first time was special. It was hard to call her mom because I hadn't seen her in so long. And as a family, we were reunited and had to now pick up the pieces of everyone's traumas. And now I'm 7 years old and life looks good. It's amazing. I like it this way. And not too long after that, it was 1990, and that was the Gulf War.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And everything just came rushing back to me. The PTSD of gunfire, soldiers, missiles, everything. And we stayed glued in our homes. Couldn't leave our homes. We stayed glued to CNN, BBC, just to know what was happening. And that was hard because I didn't ever understand what PTSD was till I got older. But when you have to go through an experience like that again, it's now like almost more traumatizing, And so after we survived that war, my family decided that we can't stay here. It's time to move somewhere neutral. And let's go for Canada. My parents got a book. I read it. Canada's cold. I don't know if I want to go. It's cold there.
But the Middle East is hot.
Exactly. And I was like, what do people look like there? And so it was just like, let's learn life all over again. And in 1994, we moved to Canada as a family.
How did that feel after going through everything, you've gone through? And then now to be in a new place that essentially is a completely different culture from the places that you had lived. What month was it?
It was May. Like, that should have been spring, but it was great, and, I couldn't understand what my role in life was. I was so confused. So now I'm a child. I'm 14 years old, and I'm experiencing a mental breakdown, but nobody knows, and I don't know either, right? Because everything is like a shock now. This is a different world. So I start high school, and the first day I go, I can see the ratio of people. I'm counting it.
There's not many Black people.
Not many Black people. I can count them on my hand, and I look different. I'm not from the islands. Everyone assumes I'm from,
That's what happened with me. People assume you're Jamaican or you're from Trinidad. Yeah.
and I'm trying to say I just came from Bahrain, and they're like, "What? Where's that?"
It's that.
And then I start saying I'm Ugandan, and they're like, "Oh, like an African? That's not cool."
That, like an African. Yes, it wasn't cool.
It wasn't
Yeah.
cool to be African, so you don't. I didn't know that it wasn't cool. I didn't think we judged people that way. I didn't even realize we had color codes for people. So it was definitely just, it was not a good feeling. I tried. It wasn't good though.
Which city was that?
Mississauga.
Oh, Mississauga.
Mhm.
Yes, I know Mississauga.
And I got into a lot of trouble. A lot.
For those watching that don't know, Mississauga is right beside Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't good. I tried to do my best, but I couldn't help but get in trouble. I was being bullied. And in my head, I kept thinking, like, you don't know me. You don't know what I've gone through. You don't want to see the real me. And they brought it out. So I was the bully. I wasn't doing good.
So you flipped
I
from being
flipped.
bullied to then not
Yeah.
bullying.
I got into a lot of fights. You know, it's the 90s. So you get your rings on.
Yeah.
You put your rings on and you go outside.
You used your hand.
You use your hands. You beat down. And I didn't even realize everything I had ever gone through, all the pain, all the hurt, all the confusion would just come out in those fights. So I would be like, I wouldn't be allowed back at school. I'd have to take some time off, and I couldn't figure out myself. So I started just doing a lot of weed. It just wasn't good for me. I did not see one moment that was good for me. I understood why my parents did it, you know, because they had younger kids and because of all the traumas they had gone through. But I really don't think they thought about the children, really.
What you would go through the transition.
Exactly.
Wow, you've been through a lot. Through everything that you're talking about that you've experienced, I'm thinking about when you said your father said to close your eyes.
Mhm.
So literally, as a little girl, you were manifesting already
Yeah.
as to who you were going to be. Because now you're this
Mhm.
woman who's gone through the healing, who helps other women with their healing. You understand all of these different layers that women go through. And I feel like that moment was a moment of prediction in your life to manifest who you were going to be.
100%. I am such a strong believer in dreams. I truly believe if you want something, you can manifest it. It has not happened for me on the opposite side. Anything I have desired to do, to be, has come true 100%. And that goes for, you can manifest negative things too.
Yeah.
It's the power that is within you that you do not realize. When it's within you, it's a thought and you're on it. And when you speak it out, there is so much power to that moment. I don't think people understand how powerful they truly are. But manifesting, making dreams come to reality, those are things I don't play with. If I sleep and I have a dream, I wake up and I ask myself two questions. Is this a warning? And is this what's to come? And most of the time, dreams don't just make themselves happen. You got to wake up and say, whoa, that was amazing. Yeah, I want that. And now you got to take the steps to make it happen. What are you going to do? So if someone says, well, I had that dream and it just never happened, what did you do to manifest that dream? It's just not going to happen on its own. You have to meet the supernatural halfway and manifest that.
Mm, that's deep. She's got me sitting here thinking. I'm sitting here thinking about some dreams. I'm like, some of the dreams I had. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, in writing your books, I'm sure it had a lot to do with the experiences that you had. Your latest book, talk about your latest
So,
book and what inspired you to write that one. Because I know your first one was definitely from your life
yes.
experiences. You gifted me that book. And I know some of the stuff you talked about is in that book. And I haven't had a chance to read your second one, but I'm looking forward to,
Yeah.
both books. But talk about the latest one that's coming out soon.
Mhm. So, you know that moment when my dad asked me to visualize my future and I didn't have the words to say that's what he was doing? When I look in the mirror now, that is the woman I see. And it took me a while to realize that she's here. This is her. But when it clocked in, I was like, shoot. Like I had goosebumps because I realized that the journey to wellness, the journey back to yourself, when you have to return to yourself, when you've lost so much and you almost lost yourself, brings you back to yourself.
Mm,
How can I keep that to myself?
yeah.
I can't. So, Awaken Your Highness is really truly about that. It's about realizing that it's not a crown that makes you a queen, but it's how you reclaim your position in your life, how you understand the value that you bring and the value that you hold. Because every day, somebody's going to say you're not enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day, they're going to say, you don't have what it takes,
Yeah.
right? Every day, they're going to say something. But if you know who you are, that's how you speak to nations. It's not about just healing and being so happy that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm here. What am I going to do with it? Because it's not just about me. We are a sisterhood. We are a people. We are a community. And if we were to rise, we're going to do it linking arms. So, Awakening Your Highness is all about speaking to women. And there's some men that have read the book and they've taken so much from it.
I think it's so important for men to also
Yeah,
do things that are meant for women because it can help them understand us more.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've had men read it and say, I even had a message the other day going, chapter 8. Whoa.
Ooh, what's in chapter 8?
Chapter 8, it's understanding your boundaries. I may be getting it wrong, chapter 8, but I think that's 7. But every chapter indicates and reminds you how to walk in your purpose. So confidence, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
We think we are so confident, but are you confident when it's going down?
Yeah.
Right? Can you show up with grace when you're still setting boundaries? We're not lighting fires and walking away anymore. That's just a struggle. That's a fight. I want to understand my soft side. And that doesn't mean that I'm losing the strength of who I am, but this power in silence, this power in your softness, this power in how you use your emotional intelligence. So, chapter 8 is about emotional intelligence. Yeah, it took me a minute to get there.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not in front of you, so I understand.
Yeah. So, um, I love hearing back from the women and the men that are reading and saying, I really truly needed this today because it's kind of like a guide for me too, and when you share and it's not fair to keep it to yourself. So Awaken Your Highness is, your highness
Mhm.
and your highness.
Yes. Yes. And one of the other things that you talk a lot about is women's wellness. I mean, I'm sweating right now. Those of you watching, you got a shot of me right now. I'm sweating. I'm going through hormonal changes in my body, which causes me to sweat for no reason. So I'm leaving the sweat at this moment so that you can see this is what happened. So, and I know that my audience, I have a lot of men that watch my channel, but I also have a lot of women too. And I think it's important that we understand that women go through these things because you spoke at the Journey to the Womb event earlier this year, and there's another one happening this month. And that's where you're going to be launching your book and doing a book reading. What are some of the things that women should be doing to take care of themselves and take care of their wombs? Because sometimes men don't understand what we go through. They really don't. Um, what are some of the things that we could be doing to take better care of ourselves and to help the men in our lives understand what we're going through?
Absolutely think that's so important to help the men understand what we're going through. So, a few months ago, I had a surgery and it helped me relearn my body because, when we're with our bodies all the time, we're just used to the way our body reacts and the way our body is. And this surgery had me redefining my core because my core was strong before, but now my core needed to be reminded of that strength. And so in the book, Awaken, Your Highness, the last chapter is dedicated to the sacredness of your womb. And I speak about how it's important to speak to our wombs, how to understand that our wombs are the core.
Hmm.
There's the life source,
Right.
but it's also just our core. And so everything happens here, the nervousness you feel, the excitement,
Right. People
the
say that
better,
feeling, all that stuff. Yeah.
it's all right here. So when you focus on, asking yourself, how does my womb feel today? How does my core feel today? Because this is what keeps you standing
Hmm.
or tells you lay down,
Right.
tell you
Right. Right.
go
Right.
rest,
Right.
right? And when your core is strong, then the other areas of you are strong. So the best way to do, to learn about our bodies, not only just learn about it, but just speak to it because it's so much a part of how we move through our day, right? We're taking breaks when we have to now.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah. Yeah.
we're doing all the things we need because we're listening more, we're paying attention. And when it comes to men understanding women, they'll never understand if we don't understand. So the more we know about ourselves and we share openly, unashamed,
Yes. I
then
know, because sometimes there's some shame to it. You're like, "Oh, I feel so embarrassed," you know? Women might be going through, like, what I'm having right now, a hot flash. You're so embarrassed, or they might be going through their cycle, and they feel embarrassed that, to talk about what they're feeling. Yeah.
and we have to get past that
Mhm.
embarrassment level because,
Mhm.
men say all kinds of things. And sometimes they do. Some things you're like, I mean, do you need a minute?
Yeah.
So we really need to understand that not just to be proud of who we are mentally and emotionally, but be proud of your core.
Yeah.
Because the more you speak, we're speaking life. When we're doing our affirmations, we're saying these things, doing the self talk, it's not just to our fate.
Yeah.
You got to speak to your womb,
Yes.
you got to speak to your core.
So I wanna ask you, when you say speak to your womb, give me an example of how a woman would speak to her womb.
So, the best way I would say to do it, and this is something I do in front of the mirror because it just holds me accountable. Being in front of the mirror holds me accountable because I can't. No, I'm here now. I place my hand on my womb. I place my hand on my chest. I press in because you can feel it. If you press in, you can feel your heartbeat. You can feel everything about you. And I close my eyes
Okay.
and I speak to the strength of my womb. So I
Okay.
say,
Today,
today, we are going to do the best we can.
we are going to do the best we can.
And when we are tired,
And when we are tired,
we will take a pause.
we will take a pause.
We will self reflect.
We will self-reflect.
And if we need a moment to breathe
And if we need a moment to breathe
or two,
or two,
we're going to do it,
we're gonna do it,
regardless of who's around us
regardless of who's around us
or where we are.
or where we are.
And then I take a deep breath in and I release a few times.
Okay.
And it feels so good.
Okay.
And it reminds me that my body is not outside of myself. I'm with, and it's like an obvious thing, but it really isn't.
Mhm.
We're one with ourselves. And this that reminder to pause is so great because we need that.
Because we're so busy in our lives
Yeah.
that it's like sometimes people are go, 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 go. And it's not just a Western thing. It's here in Ghana too. Let's see some of the women hustling in the streets, carrying heavy loads, going from market to market, going from door to door. Because like in my neighborhood, there's women walking around,
Mm.
carrying things that they're selling in the neighborhood, whether it's fish or contomre or fruits. They're hustling. So it's like the go, 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 go. So it's taking that moment to breathe and
Yeah.
and rest.
And I'm a very patient person, but I feel like Ghana is really trying me because I've had to be extra patient.
Ghana will try your patience.
It is trying my patience.
Ghana will try your patience.
First few times I was, vlogging and I'm like, you guys don't understand. I've been waiting for a while. I mean, I'm not even talking Ubers. They're a different story, but everything else. And then I said, you know what? Maybe this is something that I need to work on.
Ghana and patience. It is a serious thing. Um, with time, something's supposed to be at 4, but it doesn't start until 7. So yeah, I definitely would try your patience. Or when you go to the bank and they're like, please wait, have a seat. And something you think will be like 10 minutes ends up being an hour. And you're like, no, yeah. So you have to have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
It teaches you to be patient.
Yeah.
It really does.
So I'm telling myself those moments I'm saying I'm going to pause in, I'm going to have to do that pausing during those tests of patience moments.
Yeah. And it's so funny because everybody talks about Ghana trying their patience when they come here. But somehow people love Ghana still, and it feels like home despite all of the challenges. And, it's still like something about it is very spiritual and feels like,
Yeah.
nah, this is still home. Even though I got to deal with this, this,
Mhm.
and this, and this, it still feels like,
Yeah. And it just means you got to make an adjustment.
yeah,
It's true. You can't come from where you're coming from and expect to roll out the same way. So these are things that are just like, they're challenges, you know?
they really are.
Yeah.
They really are. So, so you're here for a few weeks or for
Yeah.
a couple months, few weeks?
For a few weeks.
And then when you go back to Canada, what do you tell people about your experiences here?
You know, they love hearing about my experiences here, and so that's why I started the vlog because they weren't getting that information fast enough. Um, they just don't ask me anymore. I've been coming for a bit now. They don't ask. They just assume I'm already staying here, and that's fine because I will be soon. So it's almost like take me with you, or where are you?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, logically, if I really truly didn't want to be there when I was 14, not much would change as I get older. And weather has a lot to do with how we are as women, as men too, right? Weather, it affects us. So anywhere that I am in Ghana feels good. The sun feels good. It could be a little too hot. I'm good for it.
It's hot. Yeah.
Right? It's really good for my well-being. It's really good for my health. So I think mostly my audience understands that because I speak a lot about environment and also I share a lot about how, if you're struggling with something, you just might be in the wrong city. You might be in the wrong place. You may want to check your environment. So I don't know if they're tired of hearing that, but they're pretty much sold on me being here and now trying to figure out how they can also come or they can join me at some point. But
Yeah. And recently you got to be on stage at Rhythms on the Runway.
yes,
Yeah.
that was really great. Really great. Since I went to last year's event, I've just been a fan and I just really love the togetherness, just how everyone comes together. And for all the reasons that I love being in Ghana, Rhythms on the Runway really brings it all together. And I have the honor of being a presenter for the Black Star honorees on Saturday night. And for a few months, I've been working with my designer on what I was going to wear.
That's
So
beautiful.
thank you. Yeah, it was just he did such an amazing job.
Who was the designer?
Salman, and he just said one thing to me when I was back still in Toronto. He said, "Just trust me." trust me for a masterpiece. That's not easy to just trust somebody, but I said, okay, I'm going to leave it all to you. Like, you have an idea of the vision. He got an illustrator. And so when I came, I was able to go for the fittings, a few of them. And on Saturday, everything was just right. And it was all just beautiful. And to see people come out in their kente and just celebrating heritage,
Yeah.
culture with such joy, and it's not just the abundance of what we have, but it's the abundance of joy, the abundance of being together. That's just indescribable. And it really does sum up what I love about Ghana. So it was a beautiful event. Just loved seeing everybody. And it was just, I was worried my voice wouldn't come back by that time, but being on stage and just looking around was just, it was mind blowing to be a part of such a special movement.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you were there. I'm glad you were there. So your book, back to your book,
Yeah.
how can people find your book, the title, when is the exact release?
Okay, so Awaken Your Highness was released October 25th because my Toronto
Ah, it was
people,
released already in
yeah,
Canada.
it's
Okay.
released in Canada because people were looking at me like, "You're doing what with going where?" So I had to give them a little something. So October 25th was the release date. The launch will be December 14th, 4 p.m. And that's not Ghanaian time. I'm very prompt with time. 3 o'clock. I say 3 p.
So make it a 4.
It starts with or without you. And I'm very excited about it. It's going to be absolutely amazing just being able to share the book. Right now, I have the books with me. So if you want a copy, please come December 14th and get your physical copy. I'll sign it for you. And I'm very honored to do that. Outside of that, it is available on Amazon.
That's good. That's good. I'm really excited to read it. Yeah, and I get to do a reading at the events.
Yes, and I can't wait for that.
So
And you must know that the the ladies I've chosen to read are so special to me. So it's beautiful for you to be able to be there and to read from, it's just it means a lot to me.
thank you, and thank you for asking me. Yeah, thank you for asking me. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today. You have such a compelling story, and you definitely are a survivor and a warrior,
Yeah.
and you have become a leader using
Mhm.
all of your experiences. I'm sure that there could be some um, young Black girl out there who's maybe doubtful about her future and how she can pursue her goals and if her goals are even valid. What would you say to her?
The only way out is in. As hard as it is to sit with yourself, ask yourself the hard questions, you have to. So if you really want to break through and break out, you have to first be able to break. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it because it's not a good feeling to face yourself and face your darkness, face your dark side without blaming anybody else, regardless of how many people you may have been a victim to understand that you still hold power. And when you find your power, when you're able to reach that side of you, you can change nations.
Mm.
Your presence matters. It's how you reclaim your crown. And your crown is the soul. Your crown is how you show up for you. That's how you show up for everybody else. Awaken your highness.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. That was good. And on that note, this conversation comes to an end. Of course, we'll keep talking off camera. But thank you so much for joining this conversation today with Kamshuka. Coach Kamshuka, you have to read her books. All of the links will be in the description so you can buy every one of her books, learn more about who she is, and find out how she can help you become a warrior of your own life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.